Hi, my name is Dr. Lauren Hallion, and today we're going to chat about panic attacks. So to start off, let's define a panic attack. What is it? Well, this is a phrase that we often use to mean just feeling, very anxious in casual conversation. But in clinical psychology, a panic attack is something very specific. A panic attack is a set of symptoms, symptoms related to anxiety that peak in a really short amount of time, usually a few seconds to a few minutes, and are very intense when they're being experienced. So a panic attack can actually have a lot of different symptoms. It doesn't always feel like fear or anxiety. So you need to have 4 symptoms to technically meet diagnostic criteria for a panic attack. These symptoms often include feeling like your heart is racing, feeling like you're short of breath or you can't get enough air, chest pain or tightness, feelings of choking or smothering, shaking or trembling, maybe in your extremities, feeling sweaty or nauseous or dizzy or sort of out of it. So the out of it could feel like you're sort of in a dream or you're sort of detached from reality. Or you're feeling like you're, not fully able to focus on the current situation. Hot flashes or chills are another example. And often people who are having a panic attack will have the thought something like, what if I'm dying? What if I'm losing my mind? What if I'm having a heart attack? So here are some common catastrophic thoughts in panic disorder. Fears of death or becoming seriously injured. Am I having a heart attack? Am I having a stroke? Am I going to suffocate? Have I developed COVID-19, for example, in the current context? Fears of losing control or going crazy. So I'm having a sense that, I'm going to start screaming and I won't be able to control it. I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. I'm going crazy, or I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to lose my mind. And then sometimes people also have fears of humiliating or embarrassing themselves. So people will notice I'm anxious and that will be so embarrassing, they'll judge me. People will see that I'm having a panic attack and they'll think I'm less competent. They won't want to spend time with me, or they won't want to be friends with me or work with me, and so on. And so, any combination of those symptoms that happens sort of suddenly would be considered a panic attack. Now, panic attacks can happen. It may seem like out of nowhere, and they can also happen in situations where the person is already anxious. What distinguishes panic attacks from panic disorder is whether the person changes things in their daily life to sort of accommodate or stop themselves from having panic attacks, and how bothersome the panic attacks are. Are they really causing problems? Is the person really upset about them? Up to, recent estimates, up to a quarter, even 40% of people in that range have had a panic attack at some point in their lives. So having at least one panic attack is actually a pretty common experience. Talk about the cognitive model of panic. When a person experiences certain sensations that are pretty normal but related to anxiety, like we might notice our heart is skipping a beat, or we might notice we're having a little bit of trouble catching our breath, or that our chest feels a little tight. There are a couple things that we can do with that information. We can sort of make nothing of it, or think like, oh, I must have had too much coffee this morning, and kind of move on. Or if we start thinking that this is a sign that something is wrong, that we're in danger in some way, that something is physically wrong with us, we may start paying more attention to those symptoms. And as you noticed, if you were able to feel your heartbeat, when we pay attention to things, we can notice them more, even if we never would have noticed them if we weren't looking for them. And so if someone is scanning their body looking for evidence of things that are wrong, looking for signs of having an upset stomach, or signs that your chest might be a little tight, you're going to be more likely to notice those things. And if that information is being taken as evidence that something is seriously wrong, what's going to happen? Well, you'll feel more anxious, right? And then what happens? Your heart rate goes up, you start sweating more, your chest feels tight. Exactly. And so that's a vicious cycle of panic attacks. We will sometimes call that catastrophic misinterpretation of bodily sensations. And what that means is that we may notice bodily sensations that are actually completely normal and react to them as if they were a sign that something catastrophic or terrible is happening. And then what can happen over time in a cognitive behavioral context is that we can start to associate those physical sensations that are actually completely normal, like having our heart skip a beat, with having a panic attack. And so those sensations can often be cues to lead to thoughts of not just I'm going to be, I'm going to have a heart attack, I'm going to be physically ill, but oh no, I'm having a panic attack. And then that can be frightening enough to actually trigger the panic attack itself.